Chapter 47, People Facing the Crisis. It's truly unexpected, Brother Lin is actually a descendant of the imperial family. Han Yi couldn't help but exclaim. Spending his days in the book collection pavilion reading ancient texts, he knew that the Great Zhou dynasty, as the largest dynasty in Central Earth, was indeed a colossal entity. But for the most part, it relied on the power of the Immortal Gate to rule over the mortal world and suppress the lurking demons and evils. Cultivators within the Great Zhou alone were not enough. This tradition had a precedent that began 800 years ago. The ancient texts recorded that when the human emperor and tyrant were vying for supremacy 800 years ago, the Immortal Gate's shadow was behind them. It would be better to say that the victory belonged to the Immortal Gate behind the human emperor instead. Perhaps in the eyes of the immortals, the so-called human emperor and tyrant were merely insignificant figures after all. Indeed, it seems that cultivation is the true path. Han Yi thought silently. Even imperial descendants like Lin Shihuan have no choice but to cultivate. Without cultivation, one cannot seize any great authority. It's said that cultivators do not interfere with worldly affairs, but in reality, they are all very accurate when they do. What imperial descendant? Now I'm nothing but a homeless cur. Lin Shihuan gave a bitter smile, clearly not paying much attention to his own status. Brother Lin, there's no need to worry about these troublesome matters. Although it may be hard to cultivate in the sect now, it's undoubtedly safe. Yes, thankfully the sect protects us. How could Lin Shihuan not want revenge, but his strength was insufficient, and currently, he was just an ordinary disciple. After a while, only then did Wang Daniu return, rubbing his waist with an exhausted expression, limping back. My legs are numb. It's really strange, I haven't eaten anything these days. Could it be that there's a problem with my abstinence pill? Wang Daniu looked puzzled as he carefully recalled his diet in the last few days. But it seemed that besides the abstinence pill, he didn't eat anything else. This abstinence pill has no taste. I'm really craving meat. Where can I get some roast chicken in the sect? Back in Langlang Village, I used to hunt game in the forest from time to time, but the animals here look too smart to be killed. Han Yi listened to Dania's complaints and smiled slightly. These are all spirit animals and beasts raised by the elders and disciples of the sect. If you butcher them, won't they be upset with you? Honestly, he was also feeling a bit hungry. Although the abstinence pill could alleviate hunger and meet the body's needs, it was still an elixir. The stomach might be satisfied, but the mouth was not. It didn't have the savoriness and satisfaction from eating good food and wine. If you too want to consume some worldly goods, why not go to Mount Duo Bao and purchase some? They have various kinds of worldly items. It's cheap and could definitely meet your needs. Upon hearing this, Lin Shihuan suggested with a smile, Mount Duo Bao, is that the place where cultivation resources can be exchanged? Han Yi asked for confirmation. He had seen Mount Duo Bao on the sect's map and thought that only cultivator items could be bought there. Who would have thought that worldly items could also be purchased? Lin Shihuan nodded. That's right, it includes the key nurturing pills that Brother Daniu has been mentioning. I just swapped for a bottle of bone forging pills there yesterday. Items for cultivators are quite expensive there. Be prepared if you want to visit. Daniu, let's go and have a look and see if they have anything good. Okay then. When Han Yi went to Mount Duo Bao, Dragon Sparrow Sect's highest peak, the lofty Supreme Hall was filled with an imposing and calm atmosphere. Yun Zuzi gathered the head elders for a meeting to inquire about recent events. He opened his mouth lightly and said, Several days have already passed. Are there any promising individuals amongst the major peaks that might be the ones destined to face the upcoming calamity? A mature and beautiful woman holding a scepter, draped in a trailing palace gown, exudes a noble and dignified temperament. She raised her head and opened her red lips to speak amongst new disciples of my Ziwei Peak. Chu Shanyu and a disciple named Liu Linky have shown exceptional performance. The crowd nodded subtly at her words. This woman was the well-known female elder in the sect, Yu Linglan. She was proficient in 100 kinds of swordsmanship. Her Ziwei sword skill was unparalleled in this world, and had quite a reputation in the cultivation world. Isn't Chu Shanyu the eldest daughter of the Chu family? Why has she come to our Dragon Sparrow sect? An elder inquired. Yun Zuzi replied, after investigation over the past few days, Chu Shanyu indeed left her home by herself. But the way the patriarch of the Chu family dealt with it is quite intriguing. His daughter ran away, but he didn't actually send anyone to look for her. A purple-robed elder scoffed, although Chu Changkong's swordsmanship is unparalleled and surpasses the others in his generation. He is also a romantic. He had affairs everywhere and didn't lack any daughters. All his sons are like dragons among men. Take Chu Liaching, for example. When he was only 8, he pulled out one of the ancient fiery swords from the Chu family's sword tomb. At 15, he became the sword-wielding man at Fiao Sword Palace. His talent makes him more monstrous than Chu Shanyu. Could Chu Changkong have done this intentionally? Someone guessed. Yun Zuzi shook his head. No matter who she is or what her purpose is, as long as she can help the Dragon Sparrow sect remove the catastrophe and withstand the cause and effect, she is the right person. I have a pretty conspicuous guy on my Pure Yang Peak, and his behavior is quite strange. Elder Guy contemplated for a moment before slowly speaking. Is it Han Yi? Asked Zhang Taixu from Heavenly Mystery Peak. Elder Guy denied. Not him. I've also been keeping an eye on Han Yi. After all, he is the one you recommended. This child is hardly ever seen. He runs to the book collection pavilion right after practicing cultivation. He is indeed diligent, but nothing else stands out. Then who is? The third prince of Great Zhou, Lin Shihuang. It's him. I heard that a change occurred within the royal court of the Great Zhou dynasty 2 years ago, which only ended a month ago with the coronation of the new emperor. The ranks of officials were shuffled, causing disturbances everywhere. Such a person should not have been recruited into the sect. What's so special about him? Some of the elders asked curiously. Elder Guy explained, when Lin Shihuang sparred with the other disciples, he often defeated the enemy. They couldn't resist him for more than a moment, and his way of winning was somewhat peculiar. How peculiar! In front of him, disciples of the Pure Yang Peak often make mistakes and cause mishaps. Besides, this young man is composed and modest, with excellent comprehension skills. Even with his damaged dual spiritual roots, he has repaired them using elixirs over these days. Before joining the sect, he was already a cultivator, and now he is already in the key pool realm. When Elder Yu from Ziwei Peak heard this, her face showed a mocking smile. This doesn't sound that impressive. Isn't Pure Yang Peak running out of people? Guy Mission's face darkened. He retorted, if it weren't for Liu Chengfeng's breakthrough during the competition 2 years ago, our Pure Yang Peak would be been in the top 3. What is there for you to gloat? What are you trying to say? A breakthrough during a fight doesn't count as talent. You should blame yourself for having no outstanding disciples in Pure Yang Peak. Even your best disciple is a girl. It's just laughable. You! Enough! Yung Suzi interrupted their argument in a dignified tone. Today, I called you all to discuss matters, not to let you quarrel. This scene made many elders chuckle inwardly. Due to the conflict between the two elders, Pure Yang Peak and Ziwei Peak typically didn't get along. When Elder Yu was still a disciple, Elder Guy had already been with her. After some incidents, Elder Yu married an elder from another sect, investing Elder Guy's effort in vain and leaving him heartbroken. Then Elder Guy began to resent Elder Yu. Elder Yu also had contempt for him. They gradually became enemies, constantly competing in secret to prove who was better. Looking at the two of them, Yun Zuzi sighed helplessly and continued. As for the extraordinary new disciples, we must pay more attention and provide assistance. Also, I will take some measures in the sect to find the person foretold by the calamity as soon as possible. Master, I have a doubt. I wonder if I should voice it. Elder Yu asked straightforwardly. Go ahead. Yun Zuzi calmly urged. How can the person foretold by the calamity help the sect resist the disaster? They usually have low levels of cultivation, barely foundation establishment. If we have to wait for 100 years, at best they would reach the golden core or nascent soul. Even though we have reached the deity transformation realm, we can't combat this situation. Can they really handle the calamity? Well, you should ask Elder Zhang. Yun Zuzi looked at Zhang Taixu. Zhang Taixu glanced at everyone, his eyes calm and composed. Protecting the person foretold by the calamity and helping them grow stronger is only part of the plan. The role of the person foretold by the calamity is to bear the cause and effect of defying fate for Dragon Sparrow sect. In this way we can resolve the major catastrophe. So, that's how it is. The cause and effect of a sect's heaven and earth are not something a single cultivator can bear. Doesn't that mean that the person foretold by the calamity will probably die after bearing the cause and effect? Elder Yu had a somewhat heavy look in her eyes, even feeling a touch of cruelty. It is very possible. Yun Zuzi responded, but this is a helpless move. If we don't do this, the entire sect will be sacrificed. So we can only sacrifice one person to save everyone. The orthodoxy of our Dragon Sparrow sect, which has been passed down for thousands of years, cannot vanish. What we can do now is just be kinder to this person destined by the calamity. That's it for today. You may leave.